Okay, we have to talk about Zombies 5 because I can't stop thinking about where this story is going after watching Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. The good news is we know a lot about what will happen next in the franchise. Let me start by saying Zombies 4 felt like a road trip, a goodbye, and a beginning all rolled into one. I know it's crazy. The movie picked up with Zed and Addison heading off on a summer trip with Elisa and Willa, but when they came across the rival towns of Sunnyside and Shadyside, what was supposed to be a relaxing adventure turned into something much bigger. That's when we met the Daywalkers and Vampires, two new supernatural groups who had been raised to hate each other. And right in the middle of all that tension, we met two new and honestly very promising characters, Victor and Nova. Victor and Nova weren't just there to be new faces. Right away, it was obvious that they were the emotional heart of this next chapter in the franchise. Victor was from the vampire side. He could harness the power of the wind and was full of energy and curiosity, always looking beyond what his world told him he should be. Nova was a daywalker with the ability to harness the power of the sun. She lived in perpetual daylight under the rule of her father, Commander Bright, and carried a strong sense of responsibility. But when Victor and Nova met, something simply clicked. It was like watching the early days of Zed and Addison all over again. And let's be honest, we all miss those days. Well, turns out that was totally intentional. I think the movie does that on purpose to give Zombies fans that nostalgia of Zed and Addison in the first movie. Meg Donnelly recently stated in an interview, "This movie is so special because there are numerous parallels with Victor and Nova. It's like we're passing the torch in a way, so even though we still had Zed and Addison there, Zombies 4 wasn't really their story anymore. The movie was about watching the next generation step up. And I don't know about you, but I loved that Victor and Nova had this natural chemistry, this connection that felt genuine. They were absolutely carrying on what Zed and Addison had started, but they weren't trying to take their place. Of course, the music played a huge part in all of that. The Zombies 4 soundtrack gave us original songs, reprises including Ain't, No Doubt About It, and Someday, and some truly iconic new numbers. One of my personal favorites was Show the World, as Freya Sky, who plays Nova, said in an interview, "It's a really happy song, and it summarizes everything the movie talks about," and Malachi Barton, who plays Victor, called it the big closer. Speaking of emotional highs, Milo Manheim said filming the Ain't No Doubt About It reprise in New Zealand was his favorite day on any set ever. He stated, "Obviously, that song means a great deal to us, but that day had a very special quality to it. The clouds parted, and it was just so beautiful. It was a moment for me and Meg to reflect on everything we've been through with this franchise, and it just felt like everything was leading up to that moment. So, what happens now? That is where things really get exciting." The end of Zombies 4 didn't just wrap things up neatly. There was a very clear tease involving a supernatural waterspout. And yes, it absolutely looked like it was hinting at mermaids. Yes, you heard that right, mermaids. Here's where things get even more interesting. Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly have both talked a lot about the future of the franchise. And they're clearly hopeful for Zombies 5. In an interview with Deadline, Milo said, "I think that one of the amazing things about this franchise is that we've kind of created this universe that can go any direction. We're really just expanding and literally getting outside of Seabrook. So, I'm curious to see what happens. I think the world could always use another Zombies movie." Meg added, "I feel like this movie, because the four of us are involved, it's very split between the two. I think it's literally just the start of the kids' story, and I feel like there needs to be another one to tell their story." Well, that really sums it up for me, for all of us who've been watching since the beginning. It's been about Zed and Addison, but now it's about Nova and Victor, and both Milo and Meg are fully on board with that transition. Meg said, "I think they deserve their own movie, where they're fully just the two leads, and it's about them because their story is so special and so cute." Milo even called Zombies for the beginning of a new trilogy. As he said, "It's almost like the first 3 movies were one trilogy. And this is like the start of another." The question now is, will Disney make Zombies 5? As of right now, it hasn't been officially announced, but it seems like it all depends on how well Dawn of the Vampires performs on Disney Plus in its first month. If it brings in the kind of subscriber numbers the earlier films did, we could easily see Disney greenlight another one. And if the pattern holds, we might be looking at a release date a few years from now. But here's the thing, Evan, if Zombies 5 happens, There's no guarantee Zed and Addison will be in it. Both Milo and Meg have expressed interest in stepping back, possibly serving as executive producers instead of appearing on screen. Even though they wouldn't be front and center anymore. This would give them a chance to shape the story and keep it connected to the spirit of the original films. And honestly, I'd be okay with that as long as their influence is still there. That said, I do feel like a zombies movie without Zed and Addison would feel a little strange. Not because Victor and Nova aren't strong enough to lead, because, surprisingly, I think they totally are, but because the franchise has always been built on the chemistry of its lead couple. Victor and Nova echo that in a lot of ways, but they're still early in their journey. To truly emerge from that shadow and claim the franchise as their own, they will require Zombies 5. Nevertheless, let me know if you're excited for this new age in the Zombies franchise or not. For more weekly updates on zombies and other Disney franchises, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.